Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
What's going on, everybody? This is Dan French. It's a French Workbench podcast on Tuesday, as we always do. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't tuned in, hopefully there's a lot of people that's going to tune in. It's Tuesday, and we were starting a little bit late, but we're still going to be here on a Tuesday. We always are. And in studio, I got the normal crew, the normal familiar faces. So I'm going to first off introduce we got Matt Shield. What's going on, Matt?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you coming on, man.
Being here.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. So what's going on with you today, Matt?
Just running around, fighting the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just been a hot one today. Just bouncing
been a
around,
challenge.
trying to snag a contract, and but everything's cool. I bought a new shirt. I'm trying to spruce my act up a little bit.
Yeah, man, you're looking good, man. You always come in looking
I'm
GQ
trying to
over here.
raise it up a little bit, less English thug.
Right.
Save that for the contracts.
Yeah.
Yep. And so you've been out, man. It's been a pretty hot market, right, for real estate right now. You're still dealing with
it. Blistering hot.
Yeah.
Good if you got cash.
Yeah.
A lot of push-ups if you need financing.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's been good, but it's very hot. In my experience, I don't know. Sometimes I feel people get dried out in this heat.
Right.
So it does slow up a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But if you want a house, you got to go get it.
You got to go after it, right?
Got to get after it.
So we also have in studio. His name is Jimmy. And go ahead and pronounce your last name because I don't want to butcher
How's it going, guys? I'm Jimmy McMurrin. I'm not a realtor, but I'm happy to be here.
Good, man. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, man.
What do you do for work, man? What do you?
I'm a stand-up comedian, bro.
There you go, man.
Out here getting to it, bro.
Getting it done.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the housing market, man? You think this it's kind of a crazy market, right?
I mean, it seems pretty wild. You know what I mean? We got a lot of imports coming in. A lot of my friends are all in the real estate business, so
yeah.
I feel like I'm qualified to participate in the
participate
conversation.
into?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. And then we also got David Ramirez. What's going on, buddy? How you doing today?
Doing really well, man. Just excited about Vegas opening up and trying to get out of this heat.
Yeah, it's been a really hot summer to start off.
Yeah.
It's been well over 100. Quite a bit, and so it's interesting to see what's going to happen heading into the summer with the housing market. So this show is about financing. It's about real estate. That's why I bring on a couple of real estate agents to get a different perspective. We got a comedian over here just to kind of get an idea about what his thoughts are. He's probably out there looking at this housing market going, man, I'm about to dive into this housing market, or if I don't, I'm going to lose out, right, Jimmy?
I mean, me and my wife, we already own, so we good. We got in a couple years ago, so we got.
Good for you.
Good for you,
We're
man.
up about 100 racks in the equity game.
Yeah.
But like everybody knows, the equity is a weird thing because now, even if we wanted to sell now, anything we want to look at, that's up 100 racks too.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like an interesting investment type thing.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying. So on this.
Okay, you need me closer.
Yeah, we're all going to be in here. We all want you in here.
I'm looking at this camera. I'm thinking I'm in range.
No, it's all good,
right,
man.
Cool.
It's all good. So let's all talk a little bit about what's going on in the housing market. Everybody wants to know, what's updates out there, what's changing, right? What do you see with flips? We're going to talk about that with David. Is there flip opportunities? So I'm going to talk with you,
I tell you
Matt.
what I'm seeing a lot of is I'm seeing a lot of homes being sold with tenants in them.
With tenants in them?
A lot of homes with tenants, and I'm guessing investors are either cashing out or maybe I've heard that it's a solution because people have been staying in tenants have been staying without paying rent for so long that the easiest way to get them out, because the eviction courts are chock-a-block full, is to sell the house.
Yeah, I've heard some rumors out there. Maybe it's just rumors. I'm not sure.
The rumors.
Yeah, the rumors.
The rumors.
So there's the government or the Fed is saying that they potentially will come in and help if you're behind on some of your bills, like your mortgage.
Really?
They'll come in and actually help you get out of that position. They're going to fund that or give you some money.
Wow.
I don't know if it's going to happen, but I got a source that's told me that. And actually, it's Esmeralda. She'll be on here in probably in a week from now. So she's talking about that. Have you heard anything about that, David?
Yeah, no, I've heard the same thing. And also, I think it goes hand in hand with the moratorium because, May 30th, the eviction moratorium expired on the federal level. So I think that has a huge impact because now a lot of landlords are putting their properties in the market, and those have tenants in place, and we're seeing about 40% of the inventory with tenants in place.
Yeah, under like 400,000.
Yeah.
You know, like what were rentals, you know?
And the majority of them have anywhere from 9 to 12 months left on the lease.
Yeah.
So if you're a first-time buyer, you're not going to be able to get into these properties within 30 days.
A lot. Also, something else that I've noticed is a lot of these homes are being sold with tenants.
Sure.
Or you can't see the house, and you have to write an offer on the house unseen. You can just go off the photos.
Yeah.
And then once they accept your offer, then you can go look at the house.
Right.
Which I'm seeing that a lot now.
Okay.
Which is, from a buyer's perspective, that kind of sucks. But from the perspective of like someone that is getting rejected on their offers 4 or 5 times because they don't have a lot of extra cash, it actually works out better because people are desperate to get into homes, and it removes the emotional part up front. And I've just been writing offers on homes unseen, and if they accept the offers, we go look at the house.
Have people been really just saving money? I mean, I see a lot of people that, I hate to say it, man, they're not working. A lot of people are probably getting that unemployment when they probably shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. And these people are pocketing money. They got a nest egg to sit on because of it. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think so. We're starting to see a little bit of a slowdown here in the market. It's not such a huge frenzy like we've been seeing the past couple of months. And I think it's going hand in hand with people, like you said, they have a little bit of money saved up.
Right.
So now a lot of people are traveling, right? People are getting out. Everything is opening up.
Yeah.
So people are, the kids are on vacation, you know, from school. So
sure.
I think that has a lot to do with it. People are, you know, they'd rather go travel, do things with the family rather than get stuck, you know, tied down looking for properties. So.
Right. So I think that, you know, we talk about always where people are really going to focus on where do they go afterwards. So I just talked to somebody today, actually, and they just sold their house. And they're like, yeah, I made a ton of money, but now I got nowhere to go. And hopefully that's going to start to change. I mean, you guys have heard this before. It's great to make a big profit off your house, but where do you go after that? And are some of these clients dealing with that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of people that would sell their house, but they don't have anywhere that they can go to because all the other homes are more expensive.
Right.
It's easy to sell right now. Finding somewhere that you're happy and you want to live in.
Sure.
Like if you want to stay in town is really difficult. So I don't know. I think they could go to Mexico or go somewhere nice, South America.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Jimmy, what's up, man? So what do you think about this housing market? Like, I mean, look, let's talk a little bit about
it sounds like
Vegas too.
There's never been an easier time to be a real estate agent. You ain't got to show houses no more.
Well, I mean, is that true?
That's supposed to be game day for a real estate agent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been doing this for like 12 years, and this is like, it's a tough market it's a tough one to get contracts done.
Sure.
And any listings are great, but like helping buyers, normally I'll get it done in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And now for some buyers, it's 2 or 3 months. And
right.
we're going for it as well. Mm-hmm. And we're dealing with a lot of rejection. So, unfortunately, Jimmy, I would love not to show homes.
That's what I'm saying.
But it's, you know, it's pretty. I think it's pretty. It's a pretty like it's a. Man, how many agents is there in the valley? Like 17,000?
20,000 now. We're almost at 21.
20,000.
20,500.
There's going to
be higher soon because they're coming every week.
Exactly.
There's new people popping up.
There's 60,000 enrolled in school.
Oh, right now?
Yeah.
60 more?
60,000 enrolled in school.
And everybody already knows a real estate agent. You know what I mean? Every time you meet somebody, they're like, I already know somebody.
You're going to witness a massive Hunger Games because 50% of agents in the MLS, they don't do a single deal in a year. And 90% of agents that get their license give it up within 1 year.
Yeah,
so,
why is that though?
Because it's hard.
Because people already know real estate agent.
Well,
you know what I mean?
There's a lot of skills that you need to have to hustle. Well, that's the thing.
Is it a game of hustle? Is it a game of just
Hustle.
drive? Like what is it? What separates the average person versus?
Let me back up why I use the word hustle. Right? When I say hustle, I mean generating business and finding clients to help, and then once you help them. Then you help them. But like a lot of people aren't able to, I mean, you get your stereotypical beautiful girl with like a huge Instagram following with big knockers and very attractive. Right? And like they get their license and they think, oh look, I got 754,000 followers, buy a house from me, woohoo.
Yeah, but there's some guys out there, man, that are looking. It's all about sex appeal, and they'll go right after it.
You know
right?
what?
I'm sure there's some.
Whatever gets the job done. Whatever gets the job.
Yeah,
done.
but I think a lot of people too, they don't want to lose out, and I think in this market, you got to know what you're doing, because if you don't know what you're doing, you could potentially put somebody in a bad place.
Yeah, it could be real.
It really could be.
I would say too, like to the degree that number one, everything's a hustle, right?
Yeah.
So
it is.
So nothing that you get into, are you going to be killing it overnight? So a lot of real estate agents, it's a eat what you kill game, right? You know what I mean? It's not, you don't get a base pay. So they come in that first year and they might not sell a home in that first year. They might get one, and it's a duplex, and they don't have enough to live off it. So then when you factor in trying to pursue it as a second goal, where you got a 9-to-5 still, now you want to do real estate on the side.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have. That's maybe where the drive comes in. They don't have the drive to see it through as a side hustle.
Yeah.
Into making it their main focus, probably just fall off the wagon.
And then a lot of times that people think that once they pass a test, they've made it, pretty much, right? So we tell people in the industry, once you pass a real estate test, that's actually the easiest part of the business. Once you get into the business, you got to figure out how to drive clients, how to generate new business. And I think it's a combination of things. This is so difficult. You have to have a good sphere of influence. So if you grew up in the city, you know a lot of people, you have a lot of connections. That's going to help out your business because
network.
Yep, exactly. Networking it's all about talking and building relationships with people. So if you're new to the city and you don't know anybody, you're going to have to hook up with a good mentor or a broker that's going to help you build those relationships. And that's probably the most important thing, is just building relationships with other people.
Do you think real estate agents too, we always say whoever gets the leads controls the situation, right? So we all know that this is part of it. So when you're into the business of real estate, right, and you're trying to get business, that's the hard part. It's generating the leads, because you might be an expert at your craft. You might know how to flip properties. But if you don't got business coming in where you don't have people, I think that's the hard part for people, is they think, well, I'm going to be a realtor and I'm going to get paid. But the hard part is really just getting the business all together, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
I'd say I always use the analogy of, I spend a lot of my time kissing toads.
Yeah.
And so when I talk to these people, a lot of them are online.
Yeah.
Right. I've never met them before, talk to them. Like 98% of them are just having a look, but like you got to find the 2% of people that really need help. And then I call it like kissing the toad, looking for like the buyer or seller. And then hopefully they're a prince or princess and not a monster. And I can help them.
You got to deal with a lot of rejection.
But it's fine. It's fine. I enjoy it. I've been doing it now for like 12 years, and I make decent money helping people and in different markets. And you just got to you got to be of service.
Yeah.
Primarily, you have to be of service.
Yeah.
Do
you think a lot of people, when they look at real estate agents, that stigma out there is that, when you look at this market, it's easy selling, right? It's not hard. And I think that a lot of people don't respect that craft. I really do. And that's just my opinion. You look at a lot of people out there that look and see what real estate agents do. They think you just write a contract and you go away.
Yeah.
The reality, though, is you're constantly in that process, especially if you're buying a new home.
Yeah.
Things like that. And you're dealing with situations that people don't see. And I don't know. That's just
my biggest role is not actually selling, but being a steward for their interests.
Yeah.
And protecting them from making mistakes by not knowing what they didn't know.
Sure.
And just presenting all the options to them.
I like that. Steward of their interest.
Yeah, it is.
That's
Their best interest. Like a good shepherd. Got to protect the
a lot of people,
from
man,
the wolves.
A lot of people, when you look at this market, though, when you're a realtor, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because you're in entertainment,
right.
And a lot of people in Las Vegas, it is a hustle game, and everybody's looking out there for entertainment. They're looking out, like a lot of people come from the Strip to become a real estate agent. Does it mean they're going to be successful? No, but like you said, there's a lot of women out there that do it. There's a lot of people that come from the Strip because this is the only job you can get that if you didn't go to college, that you can make the money that you make.
There's a lot of my friends that went to college and still found their way over into real estate because I think the opportunity to make money is there.
Is it scarce though? Because you look at what's out there, and a lot of people are getting pushed out to the side. I think even though you're a real estate agent and you have the ability to make that lucrative money, a lot of people aren't really getting into that, right? I mean, they're having trouble making ends meet, really.
Yeah,
if you're brand new,
it's very hard. It's very hard, and then it's very hard, and it's a hard job.
Yeah,
a lot of people, they see the statistics because it shows that the majority of the generated wealth in the country is through real estate.
Right.
So 90% of millionaires made their wealth through real estate. So a lot of people see that there's opportunity there. Like you said, you don't need a college degree to get into real estate. You don't even need a license to flip houses.
Well,
right?
you mustn't have a felony.
To get your license.
Actually, I think you can have.
I'm already out.
I think you're allowed a couple types of felonies, but like
nothing related to like money, right?
exactly.
Yeah, I think it's money,
Yeah.
and I think that's
No,
majority
there
of it.
are, but just there are background checks.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
know?
good part about real estate is that even if you do have a felony, you could still invest, right? You could
Yeah,
you could go
of
on the
course.
investment side, flip properties, buy
Yeah.
multi-dwelling properties, get cash flow and things like that. So even without a license, you still have a huge opportunity.
Do you guys? So let's talk a little bit about what's happening in the market. So, look, we all know Vegas is back and thriving. Have you been down to the Strip, Jimmy? You seen the Strip and how it's?
Yeah, of course.
What's the activity down there?
It's back.
It's
baby.
back. It's thriving.
Yeah,
100%.
It seems to be. It looks like it to me. And I'm not walking up and down Las Vegas Boulevard, but
Fremont Street.
Yeah, the showrooms are back open. The showrooms are full. 3-4 shows a night at some clubs. You know what I mean? People are doing midnight shows and they're still selling out because people are excited to be out of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the same thing, Matt?
I haven't really been down the Strip too much. I went for a drive the other day at nighttime.
Yeah.
And it seemed pretty decent. But I haven't been deep into the casinos. So I'm guessing I speak to some people that have businesses down there, and it's busy at the weekends, but it's not real busy during the week, is what
Sure.
I've heard. But historically, Vegas comes back pretty hard. And, we've got all the amenities, we've got decades of development, we got Resort World is opening on
June 24th.
It's a big deal, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
gonna
big
be
deal.
huge.
I know some people that got let go from other casinos and they've been hired back to the Resort World. And, everyone's going to be looking at Resort World because, when a new casino opens, everyone wants to either bash it or praise it. And it's unknown what's going to happen at this time,
Sure.
So it's a big deal. That place opened, I think they got 5,000 jobs it created at least.
Yeah, probably
A lot.
so. So, David, let's talk a little bit about your situation, and we'll talk to both of you guys. So, what's happening in the market right now with homes? Are we increasing on homes right now? Do you see a lot of things happening where people have more opportunity? Because we continue to want to keep updates on what's happening in Las Vegas, what's happening in the housing world, the financing world, kind of give those updates. So, David, do you see that there's a lot more opportunity right now?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's turning into a little bit more of a healthy market and not such a frenzy where the demand is so high we can't keep up with the inventory. So previous months we've been at about 2,000, just under 2,000 properties on the market in the inventory. And I think now we just creeped over 3,000, 3,100 homes on the market. So we have a little more inventory now. That's going to help the demand, all the people coming in, especially the flood of influx of California people coming in, buying properties. That's going to help that out. And the demand has also come down a little bit. So we're starting to see a little bit of a balance in the market. And I think that's a healthy growth for us.
What about you? What do you think is happening over here, Matt?
I mean, I of course there's a bit more inventory. I think that people get tired in the heat. So if you're going out to get homes in this heat, then a lot of people are just giving up.
Better bring a hydro flask.
So fortune favors those that persevere. I haven't seen any change with my buyers under 400K. It's still a gun show to get a contract accepted.
Sure.
But I think it has to. I took a listing. I'm taking a listing tomorrow. The sellers have a high expectation of what they can get, and at the end of the day, the invisible hand of economics is gonna draw a line where it's gonna settle down, and I don't think it's settled down yet. But
right.
I may be wrong.
Yeah, it's going to settle down, but I think that right now you look at new homes. Does anybody want to take their clients to new homes? Do you see new homes? There's no real incentives, right, to take them to new homes. So is it just because there's nothing out there? Builders are just taking advantage of people left and right, I think. That's just my opinion. And also real estate agents. Are you really seeing that you're getting paid the same? I don't know. We're starting to see that a lot.
Well, after you, David.
Yeah, no, they're definitely cutting a bunch of incentives. So we have a couple of builders that are just cutting incentives on the buyer's closing costs. Before, they would give a credit for the closing costs. The lenders, they're also cutting incentives for the design center. So a lot of people, when they buy a brand new property, the builders will give them incentive for the design center so they can upgrade their house. And then, like you said, they're also cutting commissions for realtors.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're trying to profit on every angle of the market right now. And I think we're starting to see that slow down. So we're going to start to see that turn around.
Yeah, I mean, new homes, it was nice when you were able to, when there were some spec homes and it was convenient to build a new house.
Right.
A lot of people, the timing of getting a new home doesn't fit in with what they want to do. They want to come here. They have a lot of people are moving here to retire, and they have a retirement date and they have a plan, and waiting for a new home doesn't fit in with that.
Yeah.
And even to get a new home is mostly a lottery basis a lot of the time. And
what are some of the challenges you're seeing with people getting into homes? Because we obviously know that there's more homes on the market. What are some of the challenges, though, that you're consistently seeing? Is it the transition to move here? Is it obviously the with you have to withstand the seller and their obstacles of trying to get an offer accepted, going through the emotional part of that? I mean, what do you see these challenges?
It's kind of case by case sometimes because, like he said, with the timeline, if some people are okay with an 8 or 9 month timeline, then they can go into the new properties because that's how long they take to build, anywhere from 6 to 9 months to build a property. But if people are in a rush to get out here, they need to move in 30 days. They're starting to get pushed into the resale market because they need to make offers and move into the property within 30 days.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see that with people's timelines.
What about you? I mean, you think the same thing's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I sell a lot of homes with video tours, and the way I do that is, first of all, I have to meet the client first to explain everything to them.
Right.
Because only twice have in my career, 12-year career, I've sold a couple homes and they never saw the house until it closed.
Sure.
And that was just like bizarrely unusual. But like I got some buyers coming into town on the 2nd of July. They're retiring. They got hooked up with another agent and had a merry-go-round, and then I stepped in to help them, and I sold their friends a home that they never saw until we had it in contract.
Sure.
But I had met them already and explained that that's how we were probably going to do it. But it's really hard, and if you're out of state, the best thing you can do is understand the whole process, work with someone that you feel comfortable with, that you trust, and then I do video tours on homes. Not every home they like, because I'll vet them all, because I'm not going to run around and look at 10 homes. Yeah. Because there's some things where I look at it, I'm like, dude, that's a scratch. We can do better than that, or it's a scratch for this reason. And these people are coming to town on the 2nd of July. They're here for a week. We would be lucky to get them into contract if something pops up, which they love. But other than that, I've already prepped them that they're going to go back to San Francisco. I'm going to take video tours for them. We'll write contracts. We'll pretend. When I do that, I always tell the selling agent that the buyer saw the house. Yeah. Because as a listing agent, I'd never accept an offer on a home if they haven't seen the house. But I do a little white lie and they saw the house, they love it. And then write the offer. If they accept it, then they'll come down, check out the house, and decide if they want it. And I've had to do that a lot this year. Yeah, it seems like you guys are doing that quite a bit. Yeah, and majority of your buyers are out of state, right? They're not living here. Mostly, yeah. But you got to look at Jimmy over here. So Jimmy, you got to look at me. You got to look at Jimmy over here, man. I got to look at him right now real quick. Jimmy, you got that look, man. The eye of the tiger over here. Yeah, man. Hey, I've been told it before, and it probably won't be the last time, So, and let me ask you this question, man. You were out there buying a house at one point. Yeah. And it's a serious subject, but I mean, let's look at some of the challenges. Like, if you're a person out there and you're just thinking like, do I want to buy or should I buy, or is it the right time? I mean, what are some of the things that you can remember going back to buying your home, and then dealing with the real estate agent as well? Like, is there some challenges that for us, it was like really, my wife was more so, she talked about the eye of the tiger, she was the one that was like, we're not paying rent no more. She listened to all the finance books and all that. We actually did
So we did it because we both were in the
Sounds like
service
you got a
industry.
good one.
Oh yeah. I'm straight, bro. I cashed out, bro. I cashed out a long time ago. But it was we did a rent to buy through my brother-in-law because at the time she does hair, so she don't claim what she makes. I was waiting tables at the time, so I'm not claiming what I'm making.
Where were you waiting tables, man?
I was at Wolfgang Puck.
All right,
Yeah,
that's
so-
a nice spot.
no,
Is that in
it was-
Caesars?
Yeah, so it was
Okay.
good, but I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't, on paper it looked like I was making like 25,
Yeah.
And realistically, I was making good
Yeah,
paper, but
yeah, exactly.
So we had to do it like a rent to own, basically. So my brother-in-law basically bought the house, taxed us on the mortgage, didn't give us no layup, you know what I
Sure.
mean, for 2 years till our paperwork caught up, and then we were able to get it for, we
cool.
got like, it's 2,100 square feet for $235.
That's awesome.
Blue Diamond in Durango at the time.
That's interesting. So you did a rent to own, and most people don't know what that is. So
Yeah,
can you
yeah.
explain a little bit what that is?
Basically, you need somebody that trusts you enough to pretty much put the investment down and has the money also to pick up an additional property where if, say, things had went south between me and my girl or something, went awry, he would have been able to still be able to finance the property and then sell it to somebody else in
Yeah.
worst case scenario. But for us, it was my brother-in-law. We were already,
That's
engaged,
cool.
had a kid on the way and stuff like that. So that was how that one worked out.
That's awesome, Jimmy. One thing with rent to own is obviously that was a different situation for you because he was your brother-in-law.
Exactly.
And there was some love in the.
Yeah. Like I said, he
there
still
was love
taxed
involved.
us. He taxed us.
Yeah, of course, but it was worth it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did you a
I
solid.
guess I don't know. My wife
One-
says it was worth it. I don't know.
I'd say
You know,
so,
she-
but one thing you have to be really cautious of is rent to own can be a business model in itself for predatory behavior towards potential buyers.
Yeah.
Because people were like, oh, I want to own. And then when you rent to own, the renter attaches the idea of renting to own, but it's a formula for success. And what a lot of rent to own landlords do is they pray that you're not going to buy the house.
Yeah.
And they set the whole thing up so that if you fail, they win, and they're betting on you failing. And like a lot of people that get into rent to own situations, they end up giving some money to a stranger, and then their credit's in the shitter when they start, but they're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna fix it in 2 years, but they have no help or guidance, and the landlord sets it up so they fail. And so instead of collecting say like $1,500 a month in rent, which is what they would probably get market rate for that house, maybe they're paying $2,000, but $500 is going to this magical date in the future when you're going to own the house. But it doesn't
Right.
happen.
Yeah.
So you have to be really cautious about renting to own. Sometimes it's better, if you're looking at renting to own, it's better to critically appraise the situation, do all the math, and figure out, well, am I going to do this? Is this
Yeah.
realistic? Or should I just save the money and get a mortgage myself in the future?
Well, there's a lot of people and a lot of stories out there. There's also a lot of news out there that's saying right now in this market, this type of market, first-time home buyers are the ones that are losing. They're the ones
they're getting
suffering.
crushed, dude.
They're getting crushed. There's nothing out
And
there.
that's why it did work out for us in the end because
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
able to
You were on the
get our
ladder.
house 2 years ago, right before
Which is awesome.
right before
Which
the
is awesome,
skyrocket.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, David? I mean, you're looking at the same thing. Do you see that you're dealing with first-time home buyers and they're just bought out of the market? They're just being pushed out.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a really good point you brought up because statistics show that 90% of rent to own, they never end up buying the house.
Yeah,
So that's a huge statistic that they show.
It's a game of
It's a game of
getting
charging
people-
more
yeah.
rent, right? You can get
Yeah.
more profit out of the property. You are taking a risk because there is a chance that they can buy the property and gain the equity out of the property.
Right.
But 90% of the time, you're going to end up getting more rent for the property.
A
and then
lot of the time as
selling it.
well, these rent for own deals are advertised by the landlord. So a lot of consumers that aren't very sophisticated and are very optimistic and have the dream of owning a house, they don't have any representation in the situation. So as I mentioned before, you don't know what you don't know.
Sure.
So it's important to have someone else's opinion on the topic like on the sense of the situation, because
And that's the perfect scenario for him with a family involved like that.
Brother-in-law,
Right.
it was
Yeah,
cool.
Somebody doing
It
that.
worked out.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a huge.
We had to put 20,000 down on it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So we had that was a big thing for him too. Like
Yeah.
he didn't want to just do it
you had
he
skin
didn't
in the
even
game.
want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like literally he didn't want to do it, but
he did you a solid.
yeah, he did us a solid.
That's
really.
cool.
He came up on the. You know,
That's a good point too. I mean, you see a lot of people that are making these, like let's say you're gonna, like your girl, right?
Yeah.
She went out. She's the one that's the starter. She's the one with the eye of the tiger. You said,
Yeah, she
But
knows
she's
what
the
she's
one.
doing.
She's the one out there really trying to say, hey, we need to get into buying. But there's always that outside influence. A lot of times there is where there's somebody else that actually is the decision maker in the family, and we don't find that out till we're down the road, And it could be, whatever spouse it is, somebody in that. There's always somebody that's making. I hate to say it, but the final executive decision.
Yeah, always.
Right? Always. So you got to identify that up front. And I think you see a lot of the times that when people are going out and looking for homes right now, there's challenges, but for that purchase, that primary homeowner, right, the first-time homeowner, they're the ones that's looking at this market going, should I even go into this market or should I be on the sidelines, right? Should I just wait? Because let's be honest. I mean, do they really have an opportunity out there to buy a home? And don't sugarcoat it. I mean, do you really have an opportunity, right?
That's why they always say get pre-approved first, right? That's always the number one thing, right?
Exactly.
Right.
If you're pre-approved, you might be ready.
But it's the amount you're approved for, right? If you're approved for 350 or 400, is there really something out there that you really have a legitimate chance that you're going to be happy with?
So the way I go about this is, it's important if you're even thinking about buying a home, before you even look at any homes, you should do like a financial snapshot of your situation, because sometimes people are surprised that they can get it done quicker and faster than what they thought.
Right.
And then get a better home than they expected. Other times people come in, I meet them, they're all gung-ho, they want to run off, look at homes, and we do the snapshot and we're like, oh no, dude, we can't do anything for 3 months because you've got to fix this, this, and this. Or, so the snapshot is the financial snapshot's the most important thing. And like a max approval, to get a max approval so that you go, well, what's the most you can get approved for? And whatever that number is, and then figure out the range. You got to sort out all the budget first. Because if you start looking at homes without being approved or knowing that you can get approved or being ready, then you just create a massive amount of pain for yourself.
Yeah. What do you think, David?
Yeah, no, it's huge. A lot of the first-time home buyers they're struggling right now because the inventory is so low. So it's been a challenge for a lot of these people, trying to make offers, and it's really case by case because it really depends on their timeline. How soon they're looking to move in, and we're just seeing all across the board people that are either fighting in a multiple offer situation or they're going to the new builds, and it really just depends.
You got those Cali cash buyers coming in.
Yeah,
Yep, it's huge.
yeah.
I mean, they got
Game
the cash
changer.
buyers for sure. I mean, you got
Throwing 50 over asking.
Yeah.
That's what I've been hearing from
Exactly.
my sources.
And we look at it and it doesn't make sense. But I think that the market's starting to open up a little bit, right? I mean, you guys are starting to see more homes, so it's going to hopefully ease that up, or you don't think it's going to even make an effect?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's hard to say. I can't say right now because I don't know. Like when I say I don't know if it's going to get better or if it's going to stay the same.
No way to tell
Yeah.
officially.
Just got to put
The average homeowner
best
out there
foot forward.
probably can't buy a home then. I mean, I hate to say that, but if you're an average family out there and you're not making more than, it's not about the money you make, it's more about what can you afford to come over list price. I think that's kind of where it's at. And also, do you have the funds necessary to buy a big home? Even let's say you're you're pulling all your money together. Do you have 6% roughly to buy a home for closing costs and everything? Because that's a big number. If you're looking at $500,000, what are you looking at right there?
30?
Yeah, at least minimum. You got 30 for the down, then you got closing costs. Then you also have a home inspection appraisal. I mean, you're probably looking 40, 45 just to get into a house at 500,000. Now you're like, well, 500,000, that's a lot of home. Not in today's market.
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
It's tough, man.
So like, I mean,
2,600 square feet.
I think you need anything under like
Right?
400 is like, 400 was like the new, like $300,000
Median.
house.
Like, yeah.
And so it's,
We just hit 395 the median home price.
yeah. So I mean, I'm
crazy.
just saying it's
Qualified.
it's
I know.
tricky, but maybe we should just all become millennials and have lots of gadgets and Wi-Fi devices and
Right.
live in smaller places. I don't
Hey,
know.
man.
Well, I don't know. It's weird though, because I think
If you don't got kids,
I was having this conversation the other day. So there's really 4 places that I really look to put my money. Okay. One is you look at cryptocurrency. That's an option, right? I think stocks is somewhat like cryptocurrency, but cryptocurrency I think has maybe better gains because it's just not known and it's not manipulated as much.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion. Then you got gold and silver, and then you got housing.
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, so when you look at these things that we're talking about, I don't know if a lot of, like you said, the younger generations are looking to invest money into a house or into a property, because I think they're thinking, well, I'm going into it and it's a loan and I got to pay it back and I got to be obligated to this thing for so many years. Do I really want to put myself into that where I can become somebody like a YouTuber or something else?
how young are you talking?
I mean, even in their 20s, you know.
That's like early 20s.
20s.
I feel like people in their early 20s, they're looking at it like I got time to figure out whether or not I'm gonna buy a house or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it bites you, because at the end of the day, you look back and you're like, man, I remember when I was 20 and it just seemed like it was yesterday, right? And so do you really have that time? So going back to what you're saying, I agree that you're looking at all these gadgets and things, and the focus maybe isn't on buying a house for the younger generation. So I don't know. I mean, when you already are getting pushed out because there's not a lot of opportunities out there to buy a home, you got overpriced homes, maybe the focus and the motivation's just not there altogether.
Well, I did see something in the news this week that a hedge fund called Blackstone bought like 17,000 homes this week
Sure.
for $6 billion, and they're rentals. They're all rented out.
Yeah, they're taking a huge part of the inventory.
Yeah, so like corporations are betting on people having to rent.
Yeah.
And
We got a caller here.
oh, cool.
Live caller.
Wrong number.
Oh shit.
This is the French Workbench podcast. Who's this?
This is Ver Star.
Ver, what's up, buddy? How are you? He's actually tuning in on the show right now. What's going on, Ver?
I'm good, man. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for calling in. What's going on, man? You had some questions, or are you just kind of curious about what we're talking about and what's going on in the market?
I mean, I just heard something right now. I don't know if I'm live. Maybe I'm a few seconds late. But you were talking about millennials, and I wanted to talk about being that resident millennial.
The millennials, yeah.
Yeah.
You're not a millennial, are you, Ver?
I am.
You are a millennial. So let me ask you this question, man. So you're a younger generation. You obviously seem like, and I know you gotten pre-approved before with me, and you're also working with somebody on the team. Question is what drove you to buy a house? I mean, I'm curious.
The first time? Okay, so the first time was just because me and my fiance, we're based out here in Los Angeles, so we're one of those Cali buyers, right?
Right.
Rent was just going up, right? So we were in Koreatown, so that's mid-city or central LA. We were renting a 2x2, apartment, and the rent was just going up to like $3K a month, right?
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, why am I throwing $3K a month? Or why are we throwing $3K a month and we're not really owning anything, We're close to Hollywood. She used to work at a studio up in Hollywood, and that was nice. But we're just throwing away $3,000 a month.
Sure.
We need to buy a house. So that was the main motivation of we want to buy something so we could build up equity, because it just made sense. When I did the math and the calculations, like if I can rent for less than, I think it was $21,000 or $2,100 a time.
Yeah.
For an equivalent unit, like 2x2 bedroom, yeah, it makes more sense to rent in LA. But if I couldn't, then the answer was clear: buy something if you can.
Did somebody in your family though drive you? Usually, a lot of people have to have some direction. I'm not saying everybody, but sometimes for me, it's like you look at people and where they came and how they got to where they're at, and it's because they had a good maybe role model or influence, and that it doesn't mean that you can't get there, but it just. Did you have somebody that was saying, hey, you know what, Vera, you might want to buy a home because it's a smart thing to plant your money, and usually you get a return on investment for the most part. Markets always come back. I mean, was anybody in your ear telling you that?
I mean, family-wise, to answer that immediate question, no. My mom, we built a house back up where I grew up. I went away to college. I wasn't really there was no figure in my life, like in my early 20s, mid-20s, like, hey, buy a house right now.
Right.
I kind of just came to it in my own. I think it all started, being on YouTube, which, by the way, if you're in the chat right now and you haven't smashed the like button,
Thank you, Ver. We're trying, man. We're trying.
Do that. Yeah, it was just watching YouTube videos. I came across a couple finance YouTubers, real estate investing YouTubers, And I was just like, this shit makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I should be buying a house or thinking about it this way. But no, yeah, it wasn't a family member. You know, I think that's just the ultimate goal of like my mom and, you know, that older generation was, you know, buy a house and just grow old. But then you have the, you know, the current generations or even the Gen Xers and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, buy home, build your wealth that way. And the weird thing is, and I think for me personally, since I guess I'm a minority, I came from an immigrant, you know, family.
Yeah.
We weren't taught that. Versus, you know, people who have been here for generations. So
Sure.
I think it's me saying like, shoot, what are the people that are, you know, rich now or were able to build their wealth through real estate or, you know, owning a home? What did they do? What can I do to do the same?
You got anything else to say about what he just
You
said?
know, I was saying most people that a lot of my clients from California are first time home buyers because they can't buy a house there.
Mm-hmm.
And I even had a lady a couple years ago who lives in San Francisco, works in San Francisco,
Yeah.
bought a house here with her sister to get on the ladder and to build up some equity. And thank goodness she did, because otherwise it wouldn't be happening right now.
Sure.
You know, so there is, you know, if the numbers make sense on paper and it fits in with your life, then it doesn't do any harm getting a house as early as you can. Because you're looking at like a 30-year mortgage. If you're 20 and you just keep the house and keep the payment and don't refi, the house is going to be paid off when you're 50.
Yeah.
You know? And you're going to live to 90, hopefully.
Old school mentality.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, going back to the millennials, I think they have a huge advantage because there's so much information now that the older generation didn't have. So for the millennials looking out to buy a property or get information, you have YouTube, you have Google, you have all these different options where you can go get this information. And the previous generations, they didn't have all that information at the tip of their hands. So
I think you're right.
I think that's huge.
I think, though, too, there's an exception to this where I think there's so much information, it's almost like they talk themselves out of
too
buying a
much.
home. Yeah, it's
Overwhelming.
It's overwhelming because it's like, okay, well, I got this negative things. You know, somebody's saying this is not a good time to buy this. Somebody's saying there's a crash coming. Somebody says if this is the best way to put your money into something to get a return. I don't know. I mean, to me, it just seems like I don't know. To me, it's a case by case, I guess. But it's almost like you got to trust the process, as they say, right? It's just like they said, you got to trust it because if you put your money into something, would you agree to that?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what you're saying, the overwhelming part, I think it's more like being like a late 20s millennial, so I'm kind of like the kid millennials.
Yeah.
We grew up when the crash happened, right? Our we were hardly out of high school, or even if we were out of high school or out of college, we had a hard time trying to find jobs. Right, so we were like, shoot, you know, we buy a house, crash is going to happen, we're going to get screwed, and then we won't get that, you know, that wealth that we were promised or the American dream. But then, you know, that's if you weren't educated in real estate, it's like that's a buying opportunity, right?
Yeah.
A lot of my millennial friends who are also on YouTube right now, like you know, you have Ryan Pineda who hangs out with Chalkit.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Pineda is also in cahoots with Graham Stephan. Like they bought in 2013 and they started investing in 2013 at the bottom of the market versus the kids who had parents that were hit really hard. Like, yeah, if you buy a house, you know, you lose your job, bad things are going to happen.
Sure.
So I think it was a filtering event. You know, it's unfortunate the way things turned out for those people affected. But if you were on the right side of it, yeah, you were at the right place and right time.
I think a lot of people, though, they're influencers, right? Everybody you said on that list is influencers, but they also have an agenda. And I think you have to separate that agenda. That doesn't mean, because you obviously have common sense, so it's got to make sense to you, I think. You know, you look at a lot of these people, like you said, that are talking about financing real estate. I think the difference is we try to give you the facts about what we go through challenges where I think when you look at a lot of these other channels, they're trying to promote, buy, sell. And it's really about, well, what are the facts though? Like, what do you really go through? What are you really going through on these challenges? Do I really have a shot to buy a house? And going back to your situation, when you look at all those things and all those risks, were you scared to come in and buy a home at this point? Were you like, you know what, this is kind of a scary thing to do? And were you at a point where you might have talked yourself out of it?
Oh, 100%, man. When we were getting pre-approved back in 2018, 2019, when we were buying this house out here, we were pre-approved for, I think, $800,000 or $850,000. and we're making double what we made back then. So at the back of my head at the time, I was like, oh, wow, we could buy a house almost $1 million, but does it make sense to?
Right.
So the common sense part of me was like, you know, we should probably stick to a budget, which we did initially, even before we got pre-approved. We said no more than $600K. Cool. Well, we can stick to that because I think that was a reasonable price for what was out in LA for a decent home, because we were trying to go into it, not trying to buy like a dilapidated property, put work into it just because we didn't have free cash to do that stuff after closing. And we also only put 10% down. So, yeah, we definitely had anxiety. We had reservations. We put down some offers and we're like, shoot, what if this actually gets accepted and it goes through? And then there was some where we were like, man, we really want this. And then it didn't go through and we had our heart broken. But then eventually we came to a property that we were good with. And then, you know, you couldn't predict what happened in 2020, right? And that kind of helped us in a way where we were able to get into the game at a lower price, because anything that's on sale right now, like comps in our area, is almost 100 to 200K above what we purchased at.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
it's lease-based stuff.
I mean, it's scary, and also too, you know, it can be discouraging, especially if you get denied on some of these properties. But you guys went into it, you know, 2 feet in, saying, you know what, I'm going to buy this house because this makes sense. And you know, obviously, I'm assuming it's one of things that you're looking to invest into. But owning a home, I mean, if you look at it, I know it sounds kind of cliche, but it always gives you a return for the most part. I mean, that's what I see. I don't know, maybe. Hopefully, right? I mean,
unless
because
you get divorced.
Unless you get divorced. But did you ever, Vera, did you ever think that the market's going to crash? Like, I mean, everybody thinks that this market's going to crash. I mean, everybody talks about it. You look on all the YouTube channels, you look at everything that's happening. Is that something you considered?
I mean, considered probably at the time. I think it's like if we purchased, you know, with 10% down and we went down 5%, I wouldn't have had my feelings hurt. If it went down to 10, we could break even. If it went down below that, yeah, we're in the water. But at the same time, so I think the nice thing about a lot of these influencers that are telling you, at least like the ones that I've been watching, like they give you the basics. You know, they give you the Dave Ramsey version for millennials. Right. Like have your 3 to 6 months emergency fund if anything were to happen. Invest in, you know, a broad index fund in a Roth IRA. So it's kind of like we kind of established all those things at first. So we had the emergency fund established and we had money for our down payment on top. So in the case, like I was saying this, if the market were to drop, we'd still be okay. If, you know, we lost our job for 3 to 6 months, you know, we'd be okay. We wouldn't want to, you know, spend that emergency fund, but we had it. Sure. So we kind of took the precautions ahead of time to kind of ease our nerves on those things that could potentially happen. And, you know, from what I looked in California, it's like a big drop couldn't be like a 50% drop, maybe at most 20, 25. But yeah, I mean, we'd have to be attacked by aliens for something crazy to happen, I think.
Or, so if there is a crash, there's people that are praying for a crash, right?
There is.
And a lot of those people are in hedge funds. And as I mentioned, like Blackstone bought like 6,000 homes for 17 billion. Yeah, that's correct. No, sorry, 17,000 homes for 6 billion. Yeah. And if we have another correction, there's like these, call them like, pretend they're like, I don't know what you want to call them, evil hedge fund people. Yeah. Right. They've got this lever, and if it crashes, they're going to go, oh, it's time to buy. And they'll just flood. There'll be cash offers and everything. And if you're a homeowner, that's a good thing because that's like a safety net. So that if property prices go down and the yield goes up on the rent, then the hedge funds are going to go berserk and start buying. They bought in California. They bought across the country, every metropolitan area. So as a homeowner, when you think about the idea of the possibility of there being a crash, then if there were to be one and rental yields would go back up to like a decent return, which is called a cap rate, then they're going to buy everything. So it's kind of like for Vegas, there's a lot of hedge funds already here and the rental market is very strong. And I'm just talking about the Vegas market now. I'm not talking about the rest of the country. if we have a correction, then and the yields come back to being half attractive, then all the hedge funds are going to buy everything, which is going to be bad for homeowners, first-time home buyers and people that want to buy. But if you are a homeowner, then it's kind of like a safety net for your financial position, if that makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
There's a lot of different definitions, too, of a crash or recession or a downturn. So a lot of times people just kind of lump this into one thing, right? It's a recession. And then they lump it into one thing because they've seen the crash in 2008. But a lot of corrections every 10 to 15 years are all different percentages, right? So in 2008, when we had it was pretty much a depression, recession. We had about a 80% drop, right? 70 to 80% decrease in values.
Yeah, I missed
So if we're
that.
going into it in this correction, this market, we're probably looking at somewhere close to 10 or 20%.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be a huge crash. It's going to be
anything more than that is going to be an opportunity for these hedge funds, and they've got all the architecture in place now. I worked for one in the last crash, and we built it out as we went along. But these are like massive publicly traded companies. There's people in their office punching keys, praying that they can push the buy button.
Yes.
Because that's how they keep their jobs, and that's how they make shareholder value. And as a prospective home buyer or someone that's purchased or is thinking of purchasing, like if there is this event in the future, then your position will be protected by hedge funds.
Vera, I want to ask you a question. So we're looking at a lot of Californians, a lot of people come from out of state and they move to Vegas, and you're obviously doing the same thing. And I'm just trying to figure out, we understand that the cost of living is less. It's not as big a difference as it was, but the cost of living is definitely less than California. Why Vegas? Like, I'm sure you did all your pluses and minuses. Why is everybody from mainly the West Coast going to Las Vegas? I mean, they go to Arizona too, and we see a lot of people in Texas, but Vegas still seems like there's no slowdown. So why did you guys choose Las Vegas?
I mean, for us, I think it's more personal. We have family out there. My fiance, her sister's based out there. We have a niece and nephew, and her brother-in-law. Also, her family's up in Reno, her parents are up in Reno. So family, I think, was one of the main, drivers for that decision. But also, actually, yeah, that's pretty much the main reason. In terms of other places that we considered, like I went to school in Austin, Texas, and we think back like we should have bought a house out there because that became what it is, and it's crazy out there too. Other places, we just had no interest. I think the reason why is because in LA, we got to live here in our 20s. We got out here when we were 26, and now we're 29, turning 30 this year. We spent a good amount of time out here. We had that fun, and then since this whole pandemic thing happened and we were working from home, I kind of was like, we don't really need to be in LA.
Right.
Like, we own a place here, we could rent it out. What's the next best place? Vegas. Oh, Vegas is right there. Family is there. The area that we're looking in has okay schools because we're engaged and we want to get married soon. We were actually supposed to get married last year and then maybe start a family.
Sure.
And I think for us personally, like, yes, we were able to buy a house in Los Angeles, but I'm not gonna lie, it's not the greatest part of Los Angeles. It's not Beverly Hills. It ain't Hancock Park. It's not even one of the beach towns. It's Gardena, right there next to Compton. So, I think it's safety. It's we want to settle down, and that's why we chose Vegas because it is close. And if we did want to go to Disneyland, it's just a 5-hour trip.
What do you think the attraction is for other Californians? You have other family that moved here. What is their attraction to Vegas? Like, why is it that? Because you got people from Hawaii. I'm just curious. Like, it's funny because I'm from California too, but but at the same time, I'm just trying to figure out, like, everybody's going this direction, and there's no letdown as far as how many people are still moving here. The desire is still there, even though the prices continue to soar like crazy. Why is that though?
Generally speaking, I think for Californians, if they can get over there and then get established residency, get that no state income tax, that's one main driver.
Okay.
Because you have a lot of Californians coming over with pretty big paychecks, right? And they can afford houses out there. They get more bang for their buck. I think that's the motivation, but also being that Vegas is so close to California, they can take a 2-hour flight back to the Bay or to, the Bay or the beach down here in South LA or South Southern California. So I think being in the vicinity and being close to where you're from is okay, but also the affordability and just the just how much you can get out there. Because one buddy of mine, he could buy like $1 million, $2 million house out here, but he ended up buying one there, and it's huge, right over there in the Mesa Ridge area, South Summerlin.
Yeah.
So, why not do that? You save so much more on taxes being out there, having a business out there too, compared to California. I think there's just so many more attractive reasons why you would move out of California, at least in the current state.
Sure.
Whether or not there'll be something that makes California the empire again, I don't know. But I think that's the reason for right now, especially with the option of working from home for a lot of high-paying jobs.
Is this some of the things consistent you're seeing with your clients out there?
I've had quite a few tech clients.
Sure.
That now, post-COVID, companies can attract better talent by offering flexibility with where they live.
Yeah.
And these companies are used to working, like people working from home. And so I think you're going to see, I think you're going to, there's been a shift that's happened with like corporate policy for tech companies.
Yeah, they're moving from big cities to the suburbs, right?
And they're letting people work
inward.
from home, and it enables them to retain better talent without having to force someone to move.
Vera, are you working from home, or are you somebody that has to report to work now that everybody seems, for the most part, everybody that's working going back to work? Can you work from home?
Yeah, I'm working from home now.
There you go.
My HQ, they've started bringing people back to the office optionally, but also I've talked to my bosses if the scenario were to come up where I'd want to be location agnostic. I have that option.
Yeah.
I like that phrase. Location agnostic. That's good.
That?
Yeah. That's spiritual.
Shepherd of interest.
Any last words for Vera? Vera's been great, man. I appreciate you coming on and giving your insight about this. I really do. Like I said, we're all grateful, and we're working with the team and everything else. So, you guys have anything else for Vera? Any questions?
No, a lot of good information.
Yeah, Vera, you got anything else for us, man? You got any questions? Anything else?
You know what? I think I'm good. I just I heard that little bit about y'all talking about millennials, and I had to call in here and get my insight. So anytime, guys.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I mean, it's good to get somebody's different opinion on it. So, Vera, we'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks for calling in.
Have a good one.
For sure, guys. Thanks.
Yes, I mean, let's talk about that. So we got a lot of people transitioning here to California. Now, I want to talk with David because David wants to bring this up, and I want your opinion on it. And I don't know, man. Jimmy, what do you think, man, about this housing market? Do you think this housing market is going to slow down? As somebody that's not in the market, do you see signs of people that you're around, your sphere?
No, I mean, like I said, all my my real estate agents, they're my only friends. I always say my only friends that announce every single time they get paid.
Yeah.
Real estate agents.
Real estate agents, right?
They don't just say I got paid. They say, congratulations to the Reinhardts. Thank you for allowing me to assist you in the purchase of your dream home.
Yeah.
Really, 20,000 commission. We got you.
So David's going to talk about flipping homes and investment properties. Would you consider buying an investment property or a flip? What do you think?
Yeah, we thought about it.
Did you?
We thought about it, yeah, but just the way it's going right now, just looks like it'd probably be like my wife. She don't want to sell our house. She just wants to keep it. You know what I mean? Like
tough,
we would just get a second one. She wants to keep it though, just for future gain.
David, you got the stage, man. What's going on?
Yeah, so talking about how flipping houses in today's market. Now, we've been doing a couple this year, but it's been a little bit difficult market because of the inventory. So we're excited actually to see some of these dates coming up. We have the eviction moratorium. Like we talked about, a lot of properties on the market with tenants in place. Those are some opportunities.
It's a big deal for the real estate agents.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. And then the next date is June 30th. That's going to be the moratorium for the mortgage. So once the mortgage moratorium lets up, that's going to do is going to send out notice of defaults to a lot of homeowners, right? They're going to be 30 days late, 60, 90 days late. They're going to start getting letters from the bank saying, you know what, you're going to either modify your loan, you're going to need to do a principal, some kind of a modification to the loan. That's going to send out notices of default to these owners, and that's going to help out the market because they're going to either put their property in the market, refinance, or be forced to sell the property, and that's going to be huge for investors that are looking to flip properties or buy and hold. Some of these investors are looking to buy the properties and just put a renter in place, get a high cap rate, and keep it as an investment. Yeah. So that's going to be huge for our market.
Yeah, I mean, so what do you think? Do you think that kind of agree with what he's saying? I mean, as far as the market goes, I mean, you don't deal with flips, do you? Do you deal with investors?
I have in the past more. I've done one or two recently. There's slim margins in flipping.
Sure.
At the moment in Vegas, for the most part, unless you can touch a situation where you can help someone and there's like a problem, then on a flip you make the money on the flip when you buy it.
Yeah.
And so, I don't see a huge amount of opportunity for flipping for good margins in Vegas unless you get lucky.
Sure.
A lot of the flippers, the consistent ones that have been around for like over a decade, you've got to have a whole business model in place.
Yeah.
And you've got to be okay to make 5 or 10% on the deal, but do like 50 of them in a year, which needs a whole team and architecture and like set of processes.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what next year will bring. I don't think we're going to have much change this year, but next year is going to be decisive as to all these speculative conversations we've been having.
I think this year is going to be a consistency of the Fed.
Right?
Well said.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's going to be a consistency of what we're seeing right now. It's going to be stimulus. It's going to be people getting back to work, the economy recovering. So you're going to start to see a lot of this stuff, talking a little bit about what the Fed and the economy's doing. Mm-hmm. We're probably not going to see any rate hikes or anything like that for anytime soon, right? And so when you look at the whole picture of the housing market, I think this housing market could potentially start to open up, hopefully. And then do you guys see anything happening maybe later towards the end of the year? Do you see things starting to change at all? Do you think that prices will come down? Because I think people want to know, everybody always talks, is it going to crash? When is what is going to really happen though? When is the opportunities going to come for people out there? And I think that's what people are looking for.
I don't think rates are going to go up. I think they just went
down. Mortgage rates,
went down.
Not mortgage rates, housing. Like when is the housing going to open up? Like they're not going to do anything different, I'm saying, in the economy. Like it's going to be kind of steady as we go, right? They're going to keep putting stimulus checks in the mail for the most part, I think, or there's going to be some type of spike in GDP consistently because they're trying to get the economy to recover. So you're going to consistently see that throughout this year. So there's not going to be too much change with interest rates. There's not going to be very much change, I don't think, maybe towards the end of the year for housing and the housing market and here, and then homes to start opening up. Do you guys kind of see the same thing?
Yeah, I see the inventory opening up towards the end of the year because it's going to be the notice of default starting July when the banks can start to file the paperwork for notice of defaults. And during the next 6 months, that's right when we're going to hit the holidays as well.
Sure.
So typically during the holidays, we have a slower period. People are with the family, they're traveling, things like that.
Right.
So I think we're going to have a combination of notice of defaults and the holiday season coming up, and that's going to be a lot more inventory coming in.
I think this.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Hey, you guys will be happy as heck, man.
Ready to buy some more properties.
I hope so.
Everybody's going to start fighting each other for these listings, man. I'm telling you. Get in it, baby.
I'm taking the listing tomorrow because so the situation is they bought the house in February for 1.125 million.
Okay.
And only twice in 3 years I've had sellers that are moving back to California.
Sure.
Because they love California and they miss the ocean. And so this is another situation where they bought the house in February for 1.125 and I'm listing it tomorrow for 1.25.
Okay.
It will probably sell for 1.2 million. But that is good from February to now.
Oh, that's amazing.
They're out.
That's amazing.
But, so I hope the market keeps going up, at least for this.
I wanted to ask Jimmy about the tourism here in Vegas. I don't know how long have you been back in the casinos and stuff, but have you seen a change? And as far as tourism coming in, is it boosting up?
No, not really. I mean, I'm not out there, surveying.
Yeah.
But usually in Vegas, you ask,
checking names,
like any locals in here, you know what I'm saying? And some people cheering and a lot of people from out of town.
Yeah.
Getting them gigs.
And where do you do stand-up comedy, right?
Just all around, man. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just came from Phoenix, be in LA this weekend, in Hollywood. Cool. Just running around, bro. Getting to it.
Do you have a stage name?
Yeah, no, just Jimmy McMurrin. Yep.
Just
myself. Yep. Yeah, man.
McMurrin.
Yeah, McMurrin. Yep.
Where's that from?
I don't know, man.
Irish or Scottish?
Yeah, it's Scottish. Irish.
It's got to be Scottish.
We started Scottish, went over to Ireland for a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got to run the Ancestry.com one time. Next time I'm here, I have the answers for you.
All the percentages.
Yeah.
All the percent. It's crazy that they do those tests, man. I don't know how accurate they are.
Yeah.
who knows? I mean,
What test?
You know, the test where you check to see what your DNA
I
is.
mean, I think they got to be pretty accurate.
it's
You know
pretty
what I'm saying?
accurate.
I think
You
it
think
has
it's
to
pretty
be.
accurate, huh?
They're like like orphans, or not orphans, but like adopted people. They're finding their family off those things like all around. So I hope it's accurate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bullet points. All right. So this whole thing was about market update. Okay. This was what this was about. So I want to get your take. What are the nuggets out there, the bullet points, we'll say, for things out there that people don't really know about in the housing market? Can you come up with something that challenges or something that's happening? We all know that there's a shortage of inventory, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
What else is out there, though? Like, is there closing costs out there that people are paying from the seller side? Like, what other parts are there?
So basically, the key thing in being successful in this market, if you want to buy a house, is to bribe the seller somehow. And you need to have like a bribe packet. Nice to meet you. You need to have a bribe. When I say bribe, you got to offer some type of inducement for the seller to accept your offer.
Sure.
So if you're able to come up with some type of bribe, and when I say bribe, like structure the offer in a way that is sexy to the seller, then you're in good shape to like jump into bed with them and close the deal. Right. But if you don't have any extra cash, it's a challenge right now. It's a challenge. It's doable, but it's a challenge. And I hope that things break loose with the moratoriums expiring. I hope we have a break and cover here.
Well, David, you know that some people are sitting on their money, right? They're not even paying their bills. Mm-hmm. So where's that money going? Are they going to try to put it back into a house, or are they going to where are they putting it? You know?
Yeah, exactly. And it goes back to cash is king, right?
Yeah.
Cash is king right now. So there could be several buyers that are qualified, for example, $400,000, but it doesn't matter which one is going to make the offer, because it comes down to who's going to pay the highest above the appraised value.
Yeah.
And it comes down to cash is king. So even though you've got the qualification in place, you're still going to need more reserves just to cover the difference to win the bid.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been seeing.
But it's doable. It's totally doable, but you got to be committed.
You got to be committed.
You got to be committed, and it needs to make sense for you.
And I think that's the big part. You know, we just talked to a couple people about it.
Yeah.
It's how committed are you? You know, are you committed to go all in? Am I all in? Is my family all in? You know, because it's a big deal, especially if you're moving from state to state. It's not an easy process. So it's interesting to see what this market's going to do.
Yeah.
You guys got any last things to say?
No.
No.
Nothing.
Go
nothing
Knights.
Insightful. The Knights are playing tonight, aren't they?
Yeah. Go Knights.
Yeah. Go Knights.
Go Knights. There you go.
Knights.
That's a good last saying. I don't know if anybody
Knights.
out there is a Golden Knights fan.
I just hope that that we get a break and cover towards the end of the year. We'll see what happens. Historically, I've been doing this for over 10 years. When the heat is on like it is now, things slow down a bit. Do you ever experience that? Like there's a bit of a slowdown in the heat of the summer?
Absolutely, yeah. People just don't want to get out of the house.
Yeah.
So
they want to stay in the AC.
If you do want to get a house, now's there's a bit less competition now. Mm-hmm. But you just got to put best foot forward. That's it.
Yeah. Anything else, David?
I mean, we're always out there helping families. So if anybody's out there looking to sell their property, we buy the properties in any condition. So we buy them cash. We help the sellers out on their timeline. So if they need 30 days, 60 days to move out, or if they want the cash within 2 weeks, then we can help those sellers out as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting market. We'll see what happens. Like I said, we don't. It's kind of tough to gauge a market like this, but I don't think we're going to have a crash. I think everybody's looking at that. And I think this is going to be just one of those things where we're coming out of a recession. I keep saying that, but it's interesting to see what's going to happen with the economy here. But as everything's seeing as it's going right now, everything looks like it's just full throttle. There's nothing.
I hope so.
It is, man.
I just wish there would be more Uber drivers out there because they're not. They ain't come back.
There is a shortage.
Yeah, Uber's not good right now. Listen,
let's go get hired at Uber. That'll be our nighttime job.
Like twice I've flown out of Vegas and I've waited at the airport for like an hour. To get an Uber. They're not that. There's like hordes of people waiting for Ubers because the Ubers haven't come back. Mm-hmm. And.
That's why you got to go Lyft, man. Just go Lyft.
Lyft
You got to cross
it's
that.
It's not good. It's not good.
You don't like it, huh? Are you a Lyft or are you an Uber man?
I'll do either one. It depends on who's available.
Yeah.
I'll jump on both apps and I'm just searching who's going to get here quicker.
Especially if you're drunk and you're just trying to get home.
Exactly.
You
just want to pay the $5 cancellation fee.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we're going to finish it. I appreciate you guys coming on. If you guys have any questions, I got Matt on here with me, but if you guys have any questions, please leave any comments in the comment section. Also, Matt, you're over here, man. How could somebody get a hold of you? Shield Team 6.
Shield Team 6 on Instagram. You can follow the wild adventure of my real estate meandering and shenanigans. You know,
Your real estate, and that's growing too, right? I mean, you got a lot of people that are starting to seek you out.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for a while, and
Yep.
I do a good job.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of referrals, and yeah, I just get it done. You
Yeah.
know, just tell me what needs to happen, and I'll find a way to make it work.
David, how can they get a hold of you, buddy?
Website is davidchristianrealtor.com. So you can go on there. All the contact information is there. Website, bios, testimonials. You can do searching and look for properties as well.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is we're going to end the show. If you guys want to see us, we're going to be here on Saturday. Matt's going to probably be back here again on Saturday, I'm assuming. And we'll have some familiar faces. Also, hopefully some updated information in the real estate and financing world. This is Dan French, the French Workbench. We'll see you then. Thank you for watching an episode of the French Workbench podcast. If you want to tune into past episodes, please subscribe to my channel now. Also, if you want to look at our audio-only options, we do have iTunes and SoundCloud.